Court is now in session. What's up, everybody? This is Al Reynolds. I'm your judge here in Celebrity Court. And today we're going to be diving into some of the legal issues and battles that have captured headlines. And not to mention, we have joining us today the Ola and Bola Osundairo brothers, who are going to be talking about the Illinois Supreme Court ruling to drop charges against Jussie Smollett. If you're not familiar, the African brothers were a part of the hoax. He hired them to help create the hoax. Also, we're going to dive into their new book that they just launched last week called Bigger Than Jussie, The Disturbing Need for Modern Day Lynching. I'll be joined tonight by our legal beagle, Shatan Turner. You know our fiery legal beagle, Shatan Turner. So don't forget to drop those fire emojis in the chat. Don't forget to drop that fax machine in the chat. And just remember to hit that like button. Also, please be able to hit that subscribe button if you're already subscribed. Hit that share button. Turn on your notifications and drop down in the comments because we want you to ask the brothers questions as well. So first up, let's welcome Ola and Bola Osundairo. Welcome to Celebrity Court of Public Opinion, or welcome back.
Hello.
Thank you for having us, Al.
Is that a MAGA hat?
Let's make Africa great again.
Oh, that's right. Make Africa great again. All right. So I'm, getting ready to stress me out already. All right, guys, welcome back. I mean, the last time you were here in the Court of Public Opinion. So, we are family. We're just going to jump right into this because I do have questions for you and I do want some real honest answers. All right. First up, tell me, guys, now you've been a part of this since 2019, which feels like, wow, we're going on year 5 of this case, your involvement in this case, and actually how it has changed your lives. So when you heard last week, the initial, the Illinois Supreme Court decision to drop charges against Jussie Smollett, what was your initial reaction, Bola?
Initially, I was surprised. I was like, wait, what? They found him not guilty? The ruling was overturned? And before I read the opinion, I was pretty shocked. But then once I read the opinion, I actually agreed with the justices, with the Supreme Court, and the reason why they overturned the conviction. And it was due to a technicality. So it made sense to me.
Right. So technicality or not a technicality, Ola, do you think justice has been served?
No, justice has not been served because Jussie has still not come out and admitted guilt. He has not come out and told the truth.
And you think that's important?
Yes, it's very important. It is very important because there are still people out here that believe that he was attacked. As small as a small amount that it might be, there's still people that believe that.
Yeah, not saying that they're the brightest people, but they are still people.
You know what? So it worries you that you guys, well, basically you had to come out and tell the truth, right? Yes. So why wouldn't you want him to come out and tell the truth about his involvement and how it all went down?
Exactly.
Right? Okay. How do you think this ruling will impact public perception of the events surrounding the alleged hoax? Do you think it'll still go down in history as probably one of the most ridiculously orchestrated hoax in America, or what are your thoughts?
I think even more so it will come out as that because the ruling got overturned. So there's so many different it's been a roller coaster. It's been there, here, everywhere. So I think people are confused, are still confused. And honestly, that's the reason why we wrote our book and we released it. To clear up some things.
To clear up everything. So
right. So what are some of the things you're clearing up in the book that people didn't know or might not know or will learn when they read your book?
How we actually met Jussie, our relationship with him, exactly how the whole hoax actually went down to begin with, our involvement in the hoax, why we did it, how we did it, and the actual players in the hoax.
Like who was involved.
Mhm.
there were other people involved besides.
Oh,
Jussie.
that's right. You mentioned that before. So Taria Williams said, I say these two brothers are lying and just want to be famous in their movies, all to further their acting career. Look, wrote a book, told you they just lying. So what are Taria Williams, what are they lying about? Like, what are you guys lying about? Everybody thinks you're lying. What could you possibly be lying about?
Right. That's a very good question. And also, people said we committed a crime. We never committed any crime, that we were accomplices to a crime. What crime did we commit? I will give you $1,200. Same way Donald Trump gave you guys $1,200 for stimulus check. I will give you that same amount if you can see what we lied about.
Right.
Or the
I just
crime.
want to. I would love to read. If you would jump down in the comments, I would love to know what you think they lied about. Are you saying they lied about participating in the hoax? Because they can't lie about doing the hoax. I mean, they did it, right? They admitted to doing it. They admitted to meeting with him. Let's see.
I believe a lot of people that say that we're lying are being biased. I don't think they've really read the whole transcript of the court documents and everything that went on. I think they're very biased. They really like Jussie, and they're very biased.
Right. Well, I worked on. This is how I met you guys. I worked on the 5-part docuseries, and I unfortunately had to read through hours and hours of those documents, and it's quite evident that you're not lying. It's quite evident. You might be lying about other stuff, but you're not lying about the hoax. You're not lying about what you did and how you participated in it. I mean, there's way too much footage. There's way too much planning. They got videos from your neighbors' cameras, homes of him driving and picking you guys up and doing a run through. It's so much out there that, for me, being so close to it and working with all of those, the chief of police and everybody when I worked on the documentary really opened my eyes to the case. And so I can say, 90% of everything I read that you guys were brave in telling the truth and coming forward. So let me ask you this. As it relates to you guys, do you believe the legal system treated you fairly throughout this case? Why or why not?
At the beginning, no. Towards the end, yes. Let me explain. At the beginning, Kim Foxx's office just bulldozed through everything, kept everything hush hush with Jussie, and gave him a sweetheart deal. Was doing deals back doors. People were calling people and making things happen without letting the public know. And out of nowhere, Jussie is exonerated.
Right.
Everything is sealed. Nobody knows nothing. And he comes out saying, I'm innocent. See, I didn't do nothing. I wouldn't be my mother's child if I did this and all of that.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Towards
the end, when the special prosecutor came in and reopened the trial,
Dan Webb,
they treated us immaculate. They took care of us. They made sure that we were in the loop on everything. And when we went up on that stand, the questions just came because we're telling the truth. We really didn't have to dance around anything.
Mm-hmm.
So everything was just smooth, and the jury came back and found him guilty on all charges.
Right. Those were the new charges. All right, let's go back to Taria Williams. Says they are criminals as well. They participated in a crime, so they should have been charged as well. They are criminals just like Jussie for making it up. Only reason they did not charge them was you got a deal. I think she's saying that you got a deal. She also said, I feel like they should have been charged like Jussie was. They took a deal to testify against Jussie for no charges. Is this true?
So one thing that I can say is we never took an immunity deal with the police. Not one. Not one deal was made. The only thing we had to do was tell the truth, and that's what we did. Like I said, I will give you $1,200 if you could tell us the crime that we committed. We did not commit a crime at all. The crime was lying to the police.
Right.
I think
that's correct.
we never lied to the police. So we can't, like, the police couldn't charge us if they wanted to.
Right. It's what was so interesting was you guys basically were just acting, which is what you were hired to do. You were hired to do a scene, and that's exactly what you did. So there wasn't a crime there. Danielle Cameron says, I don't think you're lying. I just think as people of color, you have ownership in this hoax and you chose to participate. Now you're profiting. Are you planning to do something useful with your profits? Yeah, I want to talk about that because a lot of people kind of feel that way. They feel like you're taking this 15 minutes of fame and you're trying, to advance it. So they want you to take ownership in the hoax, and you chose to participate. Talk to me about that, because that makes sense to me for people to feel that way. But how are you supposed to take ownership in the hoax more than what you did? Like,
exactly.
More than telling the truth.
So we did take ownership, and taking ownership is admitting guilt and showing remorse for what you did. And we did that. We showed remorse, and we've apologized on national TV, everywhere, in interviews, podcasts, whatever. We showed remorse. So I do think that we go ahead. You were going to say something?
Yeah. So I believe that there might be more that we can do, and if there's more, of course, we will do it. But at this time, we're not going to sit down and continue crying about the situation. Anybody in their right mind would, of course, try to turn this negative into a positive.
Exactly.
Anybody in their right mind, if they were in our situation, you're going to turn this into a positive thing, and that's what we've been doing.
Yep. So
I have to say, talking about it and being honest about it is doing something about it, I think, because if you had stayed quiet, he would have still stuck to his guns that he was attacked. And that came in a very sensitive time in the US as it related not only with race relations, but also with same-sex LGBTQ plus relations. Now, Danielle Cameron says your actions may not specifically be a crime, but it definitely was a crime against your people during a critical time during our country. What are your thoughts on that?
You said to our people. Who's our people? Because during this whole thing, nobody has had our back
at all. Not anybody.
Nobody has been behind us.
Whoever's supposed to be our people has never come out in support of us. So
no, I think she's talking about, given that we were in such a sensitive time as it related to race relations, participating in a hoax. And this is the part that I have to stand up for you here. People don't understand. You were only hired to beat him up. You were not hired to create the narrative that he told the police, which then made this a racially sensitive hoax, a homophobia sensitive hoax, right? I think people need to understand that. You were only hired to pretend like you beat him up. He's the one that dropped the narrative that made this a crime against our people. He's the one that decided that he wanted to take a skit and turn it into a social movement, a civil rights movement, right? A civil rights on color as well as gender movement. He decided to do that. You guys were in Africa. You didn't have any idea that was what his plan was. All you knew was that he was having you beat him up so that he could get more money on his job. Is this correct?
Exactly.
Got it.
Yeah, that's what all we knew was this was supposed to go on social media. That's all we knew.
Right. And that I think is very important for people to know, because had you known that he was going to play like the race card, the gender sex LGBTQ plus card, the hate against the president, would you have participated in this hoax?
If we knew he was going to go to the police with it, no, we wouldn't. We would not have done that. No,
Got it.
Absolutely not.
Why? You thought you would have felt that what?
One, these are the consequences of doing something like that can really be a negative. It can really be negative. Can really affect someone negatively. And let's say they went and got some white people on the street, that wouldn't have been good.
Or they would have arrested someone and charged them.
Exactly.
I think the tough part also people don't understand with you two guys. It's like, Bola, you were signed with one of the top talent agencies in Chicago. Your film career, your television career was starting to move in a positive direction. This was before Jussie.
Yes, it was.
A lot of people don't know this. You were in major campaigns. You were in other series, and this kind of derailed you. Being a part of this has derailed your career. In fact, a lot of people are doing like a hands off on you guys. I'm gonna pull in with me just for a second here. Shatan Turner, Counselor Turner, you want to join me and ask some questions here? Bailiff, do you mind bringing her on? There you go. Perfect.
Okay. Yeah, I do. I am just, this whole story fascinates me. I mean, it had the entire nation riveted, wondering what happened to Jussie. And then we all got our hearts broken when we found out it was just a hoax. And so you guys mentioned that you believed that he was going to use this to try to get more money. I haven't actually had the pleasure of seeing your other interviews. So if you've addressed that previously, let me know. But what was this designed to do?
Yeah, so we never mentioned that he was trying to get more money, but media took that and has ran with it. The superintendent at the time said that, but we never said that. We never told him that either. I think his intent was to become the poster boy for racism, to become the poster boy for LGBTQ plus rights. I think that's what his intent was.
Initially,
he wanted to be a social activist, and there's a lot of pressure on him because he was heavily criticizing at the time President Trump on Twitter. He didn't hide that at all. So I think that was what his intent was.
Got it. So it was like an ill-designed attempt to achieve some noble purpose. It went sideways, and then he's never accepted responsibility.
Yeah, I think one of the things that the brothers learned during the trial, but we all learned in studying the trial, was this wasn't his first attempt of trying to get the attention of his studio. He had a hate letter of some sorts mailed to the studios, and they, what was it alleging? The hate letter, it's something about they were going to hurt him or something, and the studio didn't really respond the way he had liked. So this was the next level. This was like the next level of the next thing that he did, right, guys? Like, I remember that distinctly. I remember there was a part of the documentary. There was a black guy who was head of programming for the movie, the show that you guys were on with Jussie. What was the name of it again? I apologize.
Empire.
And he revealed to all of us when we were studying the case and on the documentary that there were a lot of demands for Jussie's role to be decreased on Empire. And in fact, if the ratings didn't change, that they would have to do something drastic like reduce his role on Empire significantly. Now, at the same time, this is the same time where for Jussie, he was getting more exposure on Empire, and he was also launching his music career on Empire, and it was seeming to move, his music career and his acting career in a very positive form. But the people who were watching the show were turning against him. So when those outbound calls went from this Fox executive to Lee Daniels to talk about reducing Jussie's time on air or his role on the show, this is when these different hoaxes started to appear. All right, I got a question. What message do you think the dismissal charges send to individuals who may fabricate incidents for personal or even political gain? Because I think that had a large role in this. So what do you think? What type of message is this sending to people?
To people with money and influence, you can get away with things like this. If you don't have no money and influence, I suggest you stay away.
You're toast.
Or you will end up like Carly Russell.
If you broke, you need to follow the law.
Yeah.
Yes.
Basically, that if you can't afford to spend $3 million, then you're screwed, right?
Pretty much.
So let me ask you this. If you had the opportunity to directly address Jussie Smollett right now, because I think, people see how you guys play with the media and whatever you do in the media, blah, blah, blah. That's something else. But for the last 5 years, your lives have changed. Your lives have changed because he took this innocent skit and turned it into a movement, which basically has jeopardized the two of you's career. It jeopardized your family standing in Chicago. If you had the opportunity to directly address Mr. Jussie Smollett right now, what would you say to him?
I personally would tell Jussie to just come out and admit to everything that he concocted and that we did, because we've already come out and we've already had to come out and tell the truth. So, and pretty much, I would say 85 to 95% of the country knows that it was a hoax. It was a hoax. So I don't know. I don't understand why you continue to drag this thing along.
One thing that I think it's important to point out for the algoriters who were asking the question about you guys being accomplices is because you weren't aware that he intended to break the law, that would be an important fact for the police in not making you accomplices. And then because you told the truth, once you found out about this whole nonsense, then you were not accessories after the fact because you said, hey, this is what happened, and you just didn't go along with it and allow them to believe that this was true. So for the algoriters out there, because Al likes to try to give them some tidbits so that they too can stay out of trouble, because they haven't got $3 million. So they got to make better choices. If they're like you and they find out, because this happens, right? When I was in high school, my ex-boyfriend got arrested on television, let out of a crack house at Rochester police. Cracked down. Yes, it's true story, Al. True story. I have this problem picking bad boys. Anyway, and so it's traveled with me until adulthood. But anyway, I was not involved in any of the drug dealing. But if I had known and saw him get arrested, then I'm an accessory after the fact, because now I'm aware that there's been a law that's been broken, and I don't come forward and tell what I know. So forget about snitches get stitches. If you find out that you've been involved inadvertently in some crime getting committed, algoriters, you need to speak up, because if you don't, then you might find yourself in a worse position.
That's right.
Exactly.
Bola, why won't Jussie just tell the truth as it relates to the hoax?
Because there's so much pressure on him. His mother's a Black Panther. He's been lying since it started. He can't come out and say the truth anymore. It'll be a big disappointment. He had BLM coming out and supporting him. So many people came out, prominent people came out in support of him. He can't say the truth.
He literally said, "I would not be my mother's child if I did this."
So
how you go say the truth after that?
Yeah, you can't say the truth after that. Yeah.
But I think Mama knows.
I feel like most people feel like that he did it. I would not have spent $3 million on this. I would have turned the page years ago. All right, let's go down into your book, because I find this book to be very interesting. Bailiff, can you put the picture of the book back up? Bigger Than Jussie: The Disturbing Need for a Modern Day Lynching. This is very interesting to put, the disturbing need for a modern day lynching. What inspired you to write Bigger Than Jussie, and what key messages do you hope readers can take from it?
Hello?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
All right, what inspired you to write the book Bigger Than Jussie, and what key messages do you hope readers take away from it?
So what inspired us to write the book Bigger Than Jussie was that we believe that everyone makes mistakes. And just because you made a mistake doesn't mean you have to stay there. you can overcome that mistake and do better and be better in your life. So it's
and sorry to cut you off. Not only that, the confusion behind this whole scenario.
Mm-hmm.
Looking online and hearing the news, especially the news, being in this and seeing the news and all the headlines that was put out there, we saw all the misleading stuff that was
like what? What was misleading?
Like my brother being in a relationship with Jussie, how we met Jussie, just all types of craziness. So we just wanted to, in our book, we lay down all the facts.
How you met? Well, wait a minute. You weren't in a relationship with Jussie?
Who, him?
A friendship.
No, Paula.
No, never was in a relationship. He was a cool brother. It was like a brother. He looked out for me.
You don't go with brothers to the sex clubs.
Say it again.
You don't go with a brother to a sex club.
Nah, we ain't go to no sex club, but we not going to
a bathhouse is a sex club.
What he said it was it's a spa. That's what he said. And
okay.
I ain't seen nobody doing those sexual activities. Because
when you went into an all-men spa where you had to wear a towel around your waist, you thought you were at a spa?
You ain't have to wear a towel because I ain't wear a towel. I did have shorts on. I did not have a towel.
Did anybody else have on shorts?
Okay.
No, people had towels on. Don't get me wrong. People had towels. Okay. Yeah.
This is another thing that I want to bring up.
Mm-hmm.
Why it's hard for straight men to be friends with gay men.
I agree.
Because of issues like this.
Yeah.
So I can't hang out with my gay friend unless I'm gonna be labeled gay as myself.
Pretty much, yeah. That's how it works.
Pretty much.
And you guys wonder why the atmosphere.
So many men are homophobic.
Exactly.
They don't want to be associated with gay men.
Me and my brother, we believe in God and we don't judge anybody. So we don't care what people think about us, and we're gonna treat everybody the same. That's why you'll see. Yeah. That's why you'll see us with gay people. You'll see us with blind people. We don't care what you got going on.
You just
not blind people. Ola, name one blind friend you got. Ola, name one blind friend you got.
I have to think about it.
Point though.
You're help the blind though. Okay,
there's a lot of blind people in the world.
Let's get back to the book.
I think that Al's point though is a good one because it's subtle. He wasn't attacking friendships between straight men and gay men. He was highlighting what gives rise to suspicion, which is if people who potentially are interested in one another sexually engage in certain activities, then it creates suspicion that the relationship's someplace else.
Right.
So not for nothing, and y'all have done different things, but you might want to rethink going to those bathhouses with your gay friends because all of the women in your life are going to think that you are gay. You know, no judgment, right? But that's what they're going to think simply because that's
unfortunately
the women in my life.
Women think that anyway. If you hang around a gay guy, they think that if you hang around, you know, they just do association. At least in the African American community, I think they're a little bit more.
But he just said the women in his life know the truth. So I want the algoriters to hear
You better ask about.
Boy, let's go back to your subtitle. Let's go back to your subtitle. Let's go the disturbing need for a modern day lynching. Can you elaborate on what you mean by this and how it relates to your experiences?
So the disturbing need for a modern day lynching. We did not coin that term. It was actually the Madam VP Kamala Harris that came up with that term. We first saw that term on Twitter where she said, "Oh, this is a modern day lynching." And then Senator Cory Booker at the time piggybacked off her and said the same thing. So we actually got that from them. We did not.
Yeah, I remember that. Okay, so let me ask you this. Venetia Phillips says, "Ugh, Al, this is just stupid as shit. Why are they here? Why are they writing a book? Who the hell want to hear anything they say? Bye, see you next show." Well, I think that's very short-sighted, Venetia, and I apologize that you're not enjoying this or want to be a part of it. I'll see you the next show. But everyone is allowed to tell their side of the story. There's two sides to the story here, if not three. And they have a right to also be brought on a platform to get their story out. You don't know how this has changed their lives. You don't know how this changed their parents' lives or their families' lives. So for you to be so judgmental is a little bit short-sighted as far as I'm concerned. What do you think, Shaitan? Is this not good to let them tell their story?
I think this is a story that deserves being told because there's so many layers to it. I mean, the fact that Jussie has doubled down on his innocence, flouting all evidence that's been shown, and a guilty conviction. I mean, we need to remember that it got overturned on a technicality because of his prior plea deal that got interrupted. And like I said on a prior show, I agree that that was the right decision. And because of that, he will not have the legal consequences of having a guilty verdict on his record.
Right.
But there's a difference between the law and the truth, at least in this case.
Mm-hmm. I agree. I think it's okay. I think it's okay. All right. So
Tell me. I'm going to add something to that.
Uh-huh.
So Venetia, I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing your name. I understand how she feels because I've seen it before. Initially, when the case first happened, there's a lot of people in the Black African American community that feel that way, and I think they feel that way because they support Jussie or are upset that Jussie got caught and that we're the reason why he got caught. So it seems like a lot of African Americans don't want Jussie to be held accountable. And I saw a video on CNN about 2-3 days ago. Van Lathan said, "We up." Yes, that is good that Jussie Smollett won and he's vindicated. That's what he said on national TV. He said, "This vindicates Jussie, and I'm glad." And even though if he did do it, so what? He said that, which is disturbing. That is very disturbing. And a lot of African Americans think like that. And how are we going to get further as a people if we think like that? We can't get further like that. We're going to be crabs in a barrel.
I would think in that particular case, he was talking about the law. So one thing that we have to be very clear here is that we do know that he was in fact found guilty of 6 felonies, charged. But, you know, Kim Fox dropped the charges and she said, do community service and give me the $10,000 and all these charges would be dropped. He took a plea deal. That's precedence. You know, that's due process. That's the law. He followed the law and he expected that the law was going to hold up its end of the deal, like the state versus the defendant. So when the special prosecutor was reassigned and he got recharged, I can see how that's not a very good thing to happen, right, Attorney Turner? Because tell me, how would that affect other people who have dealt in getting plea deals and who have told their thing? Like, for instance, we just found out today that Trump, all his charges were dropped.
Right.
Yeah. So I'm glad that you asked that question, Your Honor, because this is an important one for the algoriters to kind of separate how they may feel about Jussie Smollett and as a person and what he did in relationship to your handsome guests and what
the law
was and why this was the right result. So this was the right result for African Americans. This was the right result for Caucasians. This is the right result for anybody in Illinois who's ever accused of a crime and negotiates a plea deal with the prosecutor in good faith, believing that they have the authority to settle the case. Because the plea deal is always in exchange for the benefit you get. You only say you're guilty in order to get the benefit. So if you disrupt the whole process and now defendants can't trust prosecutors, right, and they can have their guilty plea used against them, then the entire criminal justice system
collapse. Right.
Right.
Yeah.
I would have to interrupt you right now because he never had a plea deal. That's one.
No. We're talking about the deal. We're talking about the deal that Kim Fox gave him, which
Yes,
is what
I'm talking about that as well. I'm talking
which
about
would
that
be
exact thing. He never had a plea deal. What he had was a deal that said, look, if you do these 16 hours and if you forfeit this money, we agree not to prosecute you. He never pled guilty. He never had to plead guilty, and that's where the issue came in. That's why so many people are upset. He never had to admit guilt.
right.
Not
Well, that's
one.
the whole point. That's the whole point of her doing the deal, buddy.
Yeah, but he never pled. Usually, people
plea deal
plead
is-
guilty. You have to plead guilty.
As
He
a
didn't
plea
have to
deal.
plead guilty. There has never been a time where this type of treatment has happened in Kim Fox's office.
Never.
This is one and done. Before
Yeah,
and after, it has never happened.
Right.
He got preferential treatment.
No,
Yeah.
thank you for that clarification, because he's right. This was a sweetheart deal. You know why he got the sweetheart deal? It may have been a function of his family. It may have been a function of the fact that he's light skinned with good hair. It could be a function of the fact that he was a celebrity, right? I'm not sure what justified it. And for the record, y'all haven't been on here before. I'm joking completely about the light skin thing. Yeah, that was a joke. Don't believe that. But anyway, I'm not sure what resulted in him getting that sweetheart deal. And that's why they disrupted it in the first place. So there were problems, right, in how this was negotiated. But you have to remember that when there is a conflict like this, the system and the court has to take the side of the defendant, because the defendant is the one who lacks power, right? So that's why they decided that at the end, because for other defendants coming down the pike, they would not get Jussie treatment, but they still need to be able to rely on the
Right,
prosecutor.
on the prosecutor. Yeah, absolutely. All right, guys. How do you feel that the media coverage for Jussie's case played into the larger societal issues that we talked about, like racism and homophobia? And does your book address this in it? Do you talk about the societal impact from this hoax at all?
Yes, we do. When it comes to how the media covered this, they could have done a lot better, because there was a lot of lies, especially in the headlines. The headlines were very misleading. And at that time, my brother and I was not able to come out and say anything because we were in the court process at the moment. So this is one of the reasons why we came out with the book, because we weren't able to talk before. Now we are able to talk. So we want everybody to know exactly what happened, how we felt during that process, what we were going through, our mental, how we felt, and what our families were going through, and all of that.
Right. Okay. What challenges did you face in writing and publishing a book, given the controversial nature of what the book was going to be about?
Can you rephrase that question?
Yeah. What challenges did you find writing it? Did you find challenges in writing it? How was it easy to find a publisher? Was it easy to find people to work on, to get your voice, to find your voice? What challenges did you have when you were writing the book?
I would say that we didn't have too many problems writing the book. Publisher, that came easily. We have multiple publishers actually that wanted to write the book or publish the book. But writing a book, we were speaking the truth, so it wasn't too many problems that we ran into.
Okay, cool. All right, Shatar, you got any more questions for Ola and Bola Osundairo? Oh, Lord. Osundairo.
Yes, sir.
Osundairo, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, that's what I thought. Oh, now that they call me ma'am, I'm not going to ask my question. I thought the operators, since they're all sexy with their shirts off and stuff, might want to know what they do in their personal life.
Okay.
Well, we both box and we're both actors.
So
Okay.
I professionally box. I beat people up for a living. So algoritmos, be careful what you say. come at me. I'm just playing. I'm really all love.
It's the best workout. Yeah,
All right.
punches.
So you're ranked number what? You're ranked number what now in boxing in the country? And what professional team are you boxing on, or did you box on this past season?
This past season, so I'm a part of a boxing league called Team Combat League. It's a new boxing league where there's co-ed. It's co-ed. Men and women are on the same team. The first professional sport that's like that. But I was on the Dallas Enforcers. There's 12 cities, 12 teams, and I was on Dallas, the Dallas team. So go Dallas, go Texas.
All right, everybody, let's go conclude our interview with the Osundairo brothers, Ola and Bola. Thank you so much for joining me tonight and giving us your opinion on the Illinois Supreme Court decision and also talking to us about your book. I wish you all the success and I wish you all the healing that you are expecting and wanting from this book and from this experience. You guys have a great night and thank you. All right, algoritmers, be sure to hit that like button. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button. If you are subscribed, be sure to hit that share button. Turn on your notifications and also jump down in the comments. I really enjoy reading everybody's comments. All right, with a little bit of time left, Shaitan.
One quick thing. Somebody, I thought about this before they rolled off. Somebody's complaining about his hat in the chat, and he didn't get to explain that it's "Make Africa Great Again."
Yeah, I think he did. I think he did.
That was in Chambers. That was in Chambers. Yeah.
No. He mentioned it at the top of the show. That was before we brought you on. So yes, that's not a MAGA hat. It is a MAGA Make Africa Great Again. It's just a play on the color and on the spelling. Okay, for those who didn't know. Thank you, Shaitan, for bringing that up. All right, let's keep it moving here. Donald Trump, welcome back to Celebrity Court. Trump's legal woes. Special counsel drops January 6 charges. President Donald Trump gets a partial legal reprieve as special counsel Jack Smith drops January 6 related charges against him, while the appeal in the classified records case is dismissed. Trump's legal battles remain far from over, however. So please explain, how is that possible, Attorney Turner?
So, Your Honor, this is going to make people feel as good as they felt about Jussie Smollett, because it's the same kind of thing. And I can't believe that we're talking about two high-profile cases back to back where people who are likely guilty are not going to be prosecuted because of some technicality. So under Jussie's case, we discussed the reason for that. For President Trump, apparently there's been a long-standing practice that you do not prosecute sitting presidents because it's not good for the country. And I actually think that's a great policy, because one of the things that's always disturbed me about the cases against President Trump as they arose is how do our enemies perceive our, the security,
our president? I mean, how is that going to change? We know he's guilty.
No, but the foundation of the nation. If our enemies see that our president is potentially going to be imprisoned, right, then that compromises the strength of the dollar. It compromises the how he can negotiate with people internationally. It just makes America less strong. Now, people might be like, get her off of this camera.
Yeah, I was going to say, you got to go.
Yeah,
because you got to go. This ain't making any sense to me.
I'm not.
I don't want us to ever be in a situation, Counselor, where the president, because he's the president, gets off for wrongdoing.
Well, the
sexual assault
was okay. The Supreme Court said he got immunity. So it's the combination of the longstanding practice and the Supreme Court decision that resulted in this. I think the bigger question, and I've said this before, right, is Congress needs to act to establish guidelines, and it might actually require a constitutional amendment in order to identify criteria different than what's outlined in the Constitution about who is able to run for president, because it's been interpreted that it's an exclusive list. And so it doesn't say if you're a felon, you can't run. It doesn't say if you've been accused of felonies, you can't run. So we have this situation where anybody, right, who can satisfy the constitutional requirements can run for president, which he did. And then once he becomes elected, like, are you really going to put him in prison?
Yes. Put his ass in prison and don't let him be the president again.
Well,
But anyway, hold on. I know we're running out of time. We're running out of time here, Counselor. Let's keep it moving. We can talk about this all night, and I don't mean to cut you off. All right, next up, Diddy. Welcome back to Celebrity Court. Diddy fires back from jail with a cease and desist order. Sean Diddy Combs is making legal moves from behind bars, sending a cease and desist letter to former protege over alleged defamatory claims. The entertainment mogul remains embroiled in public and legal controversies. Attorney Turner, what exactly is he hoping to achieve by sending Shine a cease and desist?
Well, there's this issue about Diddy or didn't he? Did Diddy or didn't Diddy? As it relates to what happened in the club. So he was acquitted, right, of shooting the person in the club. Shine was convicted. Shine did the time, and everybody believes that Shine was covering for Diddy, and so that's what this movie wants to flesh out. Now, Diddy has a fairly strong position right now because he was actually acquitted, right? So what he's saying is that anybody who's saying that Diddy did this is defaming me because it's a false statement. And so he wants to see this movie and to determine whether it defames him and or puts him in a false light. And so we'll have to see what the outcome is. But the other thing is, right, is I think Diddy's sending a message from jail, right? He's sending a message to everybody who might be motivated to talk, that just because I'm in jail doesn't mean I can't come for you.
Okay. All right. I get that. All right. Next up, Tay-K's new trial date could decide his future. Rapper Tay-K, currently serving time, is set for a new trial date with the possibility of life in prison looming. This case continues to captivate public attention. Tell me exactly, Attorney Turner, why is this case so interesting?
That's a good question, quite frankly, because I didn't even know who Tay-K was. But I mean, one of the things that makes it interesting is that it's a second murder trial for this person. He's already behind bars as part of a 55-year sentence. And so the fact that they're coming for him again, like, raises this into public consciousness. He's a rapper who is famous. And so people want to know about that.
But he's serving 55 years in prison sentence for the capital murder case, right? So what are they redoing? I'm confused.
Well, he was originally arrested in 2017, and they want to find out if he didn't convict him of another crime. I mean, at 55 years, that's likely that he's going to get parole at some point, given his age, right? And so what this shows is that they don't want him to ever get out.
Okay, and what's this thing on his neck? Do we know?
I don't know, but I think I saw
Do
somebody.
the algoritmos know? Can we see a picture of his neck, Bailey?
Like he got cut, but let's see.
Does anybody know? No. All right, our algorithms don't know. All right, let's keep it moving. Next up, Porsha Williams scores legal win against ex-Simon Gabadia. Reality star Porsha Williams triumphs in her divorce case, securing a victory against ex-husband Simon Gabadia. The details of the settlement signals a major win for Williams. Okay, so what actually happened here? And I know that he was trying to, obviously stop her from filming. I actually am over these two. Anybody else over these two? Attorney Turner, tell me what and why is this perceived as a big win for her?
Well, one, this has been going on for a while. I think we've talked about it on this show for a couple of times, at least previously. This conflict is between what's the terms of their prenup. Did the prenup exclude her ability to film in the house? She's been saying that if you do that, you're really interfering with my ability to make a living. And it wasn't covered by the prenup. And so a court said that it wasn't, but they've still been fighting. And so the reason this is a big win for Porsha is because, one, this divorce has been going on and on and on. And so one of the things with divorces that people like to do is to gain momentum based on small victories. So the fact that she keeps having these victories might be beneficial to her in her overall divorce with him, because, like, look, stop coming for me. Just let me do what I want to do, because you keep losing. Now, her husband claimed that she made false and defamatory remarks against him as well, because she came
erectile dysfunction, right?
Manhood, exactly. She was like, look, we might be breaking up, but the people in these streets need to understand you can't perform like you want to act like you can perform. And apparently he ain't like that. And so he wanted to sue her for it. And I mean, do you remember? I think you do remember this. Remember back years ago when Michael Jackson was accused of those things that he was accused of, and he was on television saying they looked at my penis, and he was all outraged because someone had talked about that. Imagine the discovery that Simon might have to go through to prove that this is defamatory, right? Right? Show that he can get an erection.
I didn't think about that.
Yeah, like, I'm just saying.
Okay, let's keep it moving. Last but not least, Conor McGregor found liable for assault in Ireland. Oh my gosh, this has been so embarrassing for him. UFC fighter Conor McGregor faces a major legal setback as an Irish court holds him liable for sexual assault. This ruling could have serious implications for the athlete's career and reputation. Talk to me, Attorney Turner. What exactly, because he's been forced to pay $250,000, which is $250,000, for liable for sexual assault. How are you found liable for sexual assault? I thought either you took it, you raped her, you took it, or you didn't.
Well, in terms of the R word, right? R is, because I'm trying to make sure that we're okay for the
that's right. My bad.
Yeah. So that is a crime. And it also carries with it a civil cause of action. Because remember, when you're convicted criminally, or the issue with criminal cases is whether or not you get to retain your liberty. Okay. That's why the Diddy case is a big deal, and he is in jail. But because he's up on criminal charges, his liberty has been taken from him. And that's why he's trying to get bail. Under this circumstance, though, he was found civilly liable, which means it's a civil case as opposed to a criminal case. And this woman individually sued him to get money, right? And so it's just a different way of tackling the same thing. It's no different than, if you remember back again in the day, I'm showing my age, but remember OJ was found innocent in his criminal trial, right? If it doesn't fit, you must acquit, and they acquitted him. But then the Brown family sued him civilly for lots of money, because that was still an avenue, and the civil burden of proof is less than the criminal one. And so sometimes people are able to recover civilly when they couldn't recover criminally. And also there might be some evidentiary issues that weaken the criminal case that aren't as big a deal in the civil case.
Right. Okay, Toria Williams, thank you so much. You're right. I did say the R word, which will not monetize me. So hopefully my bailiff will be able to edit that out. Thank you for the insight. Let's see, what other comments do we have? Abby NYC, the MM family says, is the evidence different in civil for money? Oh, that's a good question.
The evidence isn't necessarily different, but the standard. So like in a criminal case, the standard is high because you potentially are taking away someone's
Right.
liberty. So it's
Right.
beyond a reasonable doubt, right? That's a stiff burden to reach, beyond a reasonable doubt. What's reasonable? And there has to be a case showing that you did it. That's why when people are convicted of something criminally and they go around saying, well, I really didn't do it, people are like, well, I really don't believe you because it was proven beyond a reasonable doubt. In a civil case, it's a preponderance of the evidence. That's the standard. So that means there's like more evidence than not looking like you did it. And so that's a lesser standard because getting money is viewed to be less of an imposition on someone than taking their liberty.
Okay. Got it. Makes perfect sense to me. Okay, let's keep it moving. All right, this is the part of the show that we go to you, the jury, to answer any questions that you may have for the panel or regarding anything that we talked about tonight. First up, Lady T, 57, help me understand why these guys are not guilty as well. This is shameful that they get famous off of this. Attorney Turner, would you like to take that on?
Yeah, I tried to clarify it when the brothers were on. They were not involved they were not aware that Mr. Smollett intended to take this rendition and then to report it to the police that there had been a crime. They were doing this rendition for another reason, which was a lawful reason. And then he went on his own and created this other story. And when they learned about it, they told the police, like, hey, this is what we did. And this is how we know he wasn't attacked. And so they were able to prove that they weren't accomplices. And then they weren't accessories after the fact because they told what they knew.
Absolutely. Okay, next up, Daniela Cameron. I don't think you're lying. I just think as people of color, okay, I read that one all right. Second one, Danielle Cameron. What did they think they were doing? I'm just curious how he sold this job to them. From the court documents, he said that he needed for them to basically participate in like a skit of them beating him up. And he wanted it to appear like it was a homophobic, race-based attack on him. And so originally it was supposed to just be filmed. He was going to put it on his social media, et cetera, but obviously it turned into something bigger. All right, Daniela Cameron said, was attorney Brian Trump his attorney? But we knew Trump wasn't about to serve no time. Yeah, it's really interesting. It's going to be really interesting to watch how he washes away all of his criminal convictions. What are your thoughts on that, Attorney Turner?
I was going to talk about that, and I wanted to go back to the brothers really quickly in terms of what you said about their intent to post on social media. Remember, algoriters, that would not have been a crime. So, yeah, they may have been making him do something that looked false, but until he decided to tell the police who's a victim of a crime, it wasn't a crime. Getting back to, how you said Brian Trump. I hope Brian Ross is doing well tonight. They debated like what they were going to do with this, and it landed where it landed. And even though it's a tough pill to swallow, because really the message to all of us is, if you find yourself in some trouble, you need to find a lot of friends and get elected president, because then you don't have to take responsibility.
I mean, basically, that's what I feel like. That's the message that we're sending to America. That's the message that we're sending to the citizens of America. Like, I mean,
he's a genius. I mean, it's diabolical, right?
Yeah.
But he's a genius because the way that he was able to, and I'm using this expression intentionally, whitewash all of this was by winning the presidency again.
Exactly. And the deal was he kept putting these things off and delaying them because for some reason he knew that he had a chance to win the presidency again, and everything that he had put in play before he was put out of the White House is now back in play, and that's why he's getting off. All right, everybody, that is going to conclude tonight's show. We're going to go and read the verdict for our cases. Trump, is special counsel Jack Smith guilty or not guilty of creating this new president that we have and letting him off? Attorney Turner, what say you?
I think he was in an unfortunate position, but I'm going to say he was not guilty. The lawyer was not guilty.
Do you think Special Jack Smith is not guilty? I find him guilty. I think he's guilty. I think he's guilty of letting him off on these crimes. I think the president should have to face what he did. That was a horrible day. All right, next up, Diddy issuing a cease and desist. Is Shine guilty or not guilty of defaming Diddy?
You know, based on what I've found and learned, I would say Shine is not guilty of defamation. I mean, yeah, years ago somebody may have believed it, but now I think that we all
already know. Yeah, I think we all know too. I'm Alan, I'm the judge here in Celebrity Court, and we're going to find Shine not guilty of defamatory claims. All right, next up, Tay-K's new trial date. Okay, so is he guilty or not guilty of what they're claiming he did? I don't know what else they want from this man. 55 years. What is he guilty of the additional time? Do they want to give him life? What is it that they're looking for here? Is he guilty or not guilty?
I think they are looking to give him life, and I'm going to reserve judgment on this one. I don't know enough about him, but he was convicted when he was only like 17. So even though 55 years is a long time, he'll be able to get out with this current sentence. And so, like I said, I think that they're trying to keep him for life.
Okay, got it. I'm gonna say he's not guilty until, whatever it is that they're trying to do. I'm still unclear as exactly what it is that they're trying to do. If he goes back to trial, does it decrease his time in prison? Or if it goes the other way, it's going to increase his time in prison. So yeah, we're gonna hold our thoughts on that one. How about that? Because that one's just confusing the heck out of me. Next up, is Porsha Williams guilty or not guilty of defrauding or defamatory against Simon Gabadia?
You know, I'm not going against Porsha on this one. Yeah, I think Portia's telling the truth about that. He ain't want his secrets out because he's trying to be known as viral in these streets. And I think the discovery is going to be interesting. I wouldn't sign up for that discovery if I was the lawyer on the other side. So I don't even know how he's going to prove that she's wrong.
I'm the judge here. I'm Al. I'm the judge here in Celebrity Court. And I find them both guilty. Both of them are guilty of getting on my nerves with this story. Listen, you're divorced. Separate. Go your separate ways. Porsha, get out of the house. Go get your own house. You're making great money. Get your own house. Give him his stuff back. You don't want him. You put him out. It's not working. His thing-a-lang isn't working. Let him go back to the streets.
Still waters run deep.
All right, next up, Conor McGregor. Is he guilty or not guilty of being liable for sexual assault, Attorney Turner?
He had to pay, so he's liable. He's guilty.
All right, I agree. I really have to say this, though. I'm Al. I'm the judge here in the court of public opinion. And even though he's guilty, I will say that he has handled this upstanding as possible. I felt like him coming clean, him issuing a statement, him apologizing to his wife, him apologizing to his family, to me, won some brownie points. Last but not least, are the Osundairo brothers guilty or not guilty of committing a hoax or of a criminal crime of committing a hoax? Attorney Shatara Turner, what say you?
I liked them a lot. I thought that they were credible, and I thought that they were sincere. So I'm going to vote not guilty for them.
I'm Al. I'm the judge here in the Celebrity Court of Public Opinion, and I agree. And everybody that we worked with on this case, all the judges, all of the lawyers, all of the paralegals felt the same. I really feel sorry that these guys got a bad rap. I do hope that they're able to turn their lives around because they were doing some positive things, being first generation in the United States for their parents. All right, everybody, that's going to conclude tonight's show. Thank you so much for watching. As we wrap up today's session, let's remember that the law is complex and celebrity cases often bring their own unique challenges. Our discussions aim to shed light on these issues and empower you, our viewers, with knowledge. Thank you for your thoughtful questions and participation. Until next time, keep questioning, stay informed, and as always, Celebrity Court of Public Opinion is a powerful place. It's where your voice can and will be heard. Court is now adjourned. Have a good night, everybody.